favorite stories, and it's a personal narrative. Who remembers what a personal narrative is? Put your hands on your head if you remember what a personal narrative is. So if you were to answer that in a sentence, you would say a personal narrative is, turn and talk about it with your carpet partner. Go. Okay. That's okay. Remember what a personal narrative is. So tell me in a sentence. You know what? Peter, sit up, please. Could some of you forgotten what a personal narrative is? Yeah, you might. It's been a while since we've talked about it. Eyes up here. Personal narrative. Who thinks they do know? Nose, nose. Those who think they do know. Bria, tell me in a sentence. Oh, big loud voice. A personal narrative tells first, next, then, and last. And it tells what, though? What does it tell first, next, then, and last? Who can tell more? Who can add more? Alexis. So a personal narrative is a story that you can write that tells first, next, then, and last, right? Eyes up here. Donald Cruz, his shortcut is a personal narrative story about he and his cousins and brothers and sisters taking a shortcut, right? And this story is one of my favorite ones. I should see your eyes, that way I know you're listening. Is one of my favorite ones because at the very beginning of the story, he gets my attention right away. You know, or just right away he gets my attention. He starts out by saying, we looked, we listened, we decided to take the shortcut home. And I'm looking at the picture and I know they're on a train track and my schema tells me, or my past experience tells me that's not a good thing. So already my heart's racing and pounding because I'm worried about the people in his story. He tells about how they should have taken the road, but it was late and it was getting dark, so they started down the path. Right? So right at the beginning, he kind of throws out a lure and he hooks me in. Because I'm interested now. I need to find out what's going to happen. Then he says, first, they're playing. They're playing around on the road. They're not paying a lick of attention, right? Next, there's a little bit of a sound, right? Ooh. And they're still not paying attention, right? They know there's briars and snakes and all kinds of things in the ditch below, but they're tussling around. He's got one friend that's listening. Then one friend says, I hear a train, right? And the last thing that they have to do is they have to what? They have to jump off the tracks. So, he reeled me in with a good opening sentence or opening parts. He told me what happened first, next, then, and last. And then he ends the story by saying, we didn't talk about it for a long time and we never took the shortcut again, right? So he has a definite ending to the story. Now what I did, when I wrote my personal narrative, I kind of mimicked what Donald Cruz did in his story. I mimicked it because I liked the way he got my attention at the beginning. And I liked the way he told the story in order. And I liked the way that he kind of summed up that story at the very end, too. So what I want you to do...
Anything for the office?
We do not. Perfect. You can just set it... You know what, Maddie? Why don't you go grab it, sweetie? Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do, when I read my personal narrative, I want you to see if you can see some of the things that I did in my personal narrative that are the same that Donald Cruz did in his personal narrative. Okay? So you're going to be listening for the ways that I did kind of the same things as Donald Cruz. Now when I was writing this, I kind of used my first, next, then, and last page to kind of help guide my writing. I didn't do it exactly like this because I was remembering what Donald Cruz did. Okay, so here's my personal narrative. Be thinking about how my personal narrative kind of mimics Donald Cruz's personal narrative. We searched for the kittens. I grabbed Aria. We decided to give her the medicine first. I wish I could watch the vet do it again, but he wasn't around. It was time to do it on our own. First, my husband set Aria on the counter. Next, he gently grabbed her head and pulled it back. Then I pried my fingernail in between Aria's top and bottom teeth and opened her mouth. Last, I quickly shoved the pill down her throat and snapped her mouth shut. Aria quickly jumped off the counter and ran away. One kitten was done. We looked at each other.